Okay, so, well, we have registrants, but looks like we don't have anyone here. Hi, everyone. Okay, that's a bummer. We don't really have any attendees at the moment. We have 14 registrants, but all I can see here are Sean, Heather, Savannah. What a way to start a new year, huh? Well, let's just wait a minute and let's see if people could join in. All right, while we're waiting for others to join, I'll just go through as scheduled because this will be recorded anyway. So for those who registered, you'll definitely get a recording for this. Brianna just popped in. Hello there. Thank you for attending this webinar. And we'll get started. Madison is here. Hello. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. So this could be just a quick one. Hi, everyone. Hi, Sean. Sean is saying hi there. So thank you all for joining. Today we'll be talking about Sendible's permission groups. So that includes creating specific permissions that you can assign or link to users in a Sendible account. That also entails controlling what users can do or see in their dashboards. We'll answer your questions at the second part of the webinar, but please allow me to present today's topic for the first half of this session. Some things to be mindful of. So notice that there's a chat box there on the right-hand side. So you can just say hi and hello to everyone. So Sean is saying hi, and also to Heather, hello there. You can also post your replies there or just simply to interact with other members of the session. And just beside that, there's a questions tab, and that's where you're going to put all your questions. Now, please do keep your questions relevant to our topic today. And if you have anything outside permissions group, any questions, feel free to reach out to our support team, or if you have a success manager assigned to you as a key account, do reach out to them. They'll be very, very happy to help. All right, for those of you who have attended our webinars before, you do know that we love starting this off with an icebreaker. So please post your answers in our chat box there. So since this is the very first webinar for 2023, I'd like to know, just in case you have a very specific New Year's resolution that you keep on breaking. I know I can relate. I have probably a bunch of lists. Well, I think I would say reading more books has been a resolution for the past couple of years, but you know, after the pandemic mellowed down a bit, things opened up, I get to travel, meet with friends, so that kind of slipped out of my schedule. Definitely something that I would really like to go back to. Unfortunately, that's not part of my list this year. So I want to know, what's that New Year's resolution that you keep on breaking? So you can share your answers on our chat box there. So I can see Savannah is typing something. But while you are trying to put your answers there, let me get outside for at least 1 hour a day. I know, Savannah, you've been trying to do this, but I'm on you on this one, cheering for you. You can do it, especially with Billy Boy. You can do that. Just keep your answers coming. I'll start sharing my screen. Yes, Savannah, you'll get there. Okay, now let me start. Okay, one moment. All right, let me just double check if I'm missing. Okay, cool. Now, So since our topic is all about permissions, like permission groups, for today's session, I would like to be part of a marketing agency, and I want to create different permission levels probably per client or per team member. So in this case, I want to create two different permission groups. One is for a client that I want to restrict from viewing content library and the keyword alerts, and also another permission for a team member that I don't want to have access to activity, priority inbox, and reports. So all you need to do as an admin is to go and click your name here on top, then go to manage users. There you go. As you can see, I have different clients here. I have team members as well. And permissions will be here. Now take note, just a little caveat here, permissions is sort of an advanced feature which is available to our custom plans. So if you're on Traction or on Scale, you might as well have a look at this. I can assure you this is a very powerful tool, especially if you're a marketing agency. It gives you a bit more of control of what people, clients, members could see and do within the Sendible app. Okay, moving on to permissions. So I click permissions here. As you can see, I have just a default permission here, which is the one that you have currently. And it gives access to everything here, except of course, if you have, if you're a client and you're restricted to just view your own dashboard. But essentially, all of these are checked as default. Now, the first thing for me to do is to create a new permission group. So I'll just click this plus sign here, new permission group. And the first one that I'll do is for a client. So as an identifier, just for me to easily identify this permission group, I'll just put it's for a client. And I don't want the client to have access to keyword alerts. So no keyword alerts. And also, I don't want this client to have access to the content library. Okay. Now I'll hit OK. So there you are. We now have a new permission group. By default, they're all unchecked. So I'll just click this to select all of them. And then later on, I'll just uncheck which one I want to remove. Now, I don't want this client permission to have access to the keyword alerts and the content library. That also includes RSS feeds. I don't want to give that access as well. Keyword alerts, so that's under monitoring. I'll uncheck this one. And then I'll just hit apply. Now, the next thing for me to do, of course, you'll see this permission has been updated. Next step is for me to assign this to a client. So I have client 1 here. I can go down under credentials, under permissions. So we now have 2 type of permission levels. So I'll pick the one that I created earlier. Then I'll update the user. So this is again for client 1. And as you can see, I have 2 tabs here. One is for the client 1 and the other one is for the creative team. The creative team is a team member and the client 1 is of course a client. So as you can see, the client now has this new permission level. So I'll head over to the client 1 dashboard. I'll refresh this so that the changes will take effect. And if you could recall, I removed the content library. It's not here. And the priority inbox. Oh, did I say priority inbox? Content library and keyword alerts. Okay, so monitoring and content library should be gone. As you can see, they're no longer here. So that means they can't go to keyword alerts and they can't use the content library. That's what I did for this client, okay? Now, the other thing that I want to do as well is to put a restriction to this account, which is the creative team, which is a team member. Now, I'll have to go back to permissions. And then I'll create a new permission group, which is for a team member. For easy identification, I'll just put member here with no access to reports and also no access to the priority inbox. I'll hit OK. I'll select all of them first. There you go. Then I'll remove the access to the reports and also to the priority inbox. There you go. I'll hit apply. Permission has been updated. Then I go to the creative team because I want to assign this permission to this team member. I'll go down under permissions, then select the one that I just recently created. Then I update the user. Now let me go to that user's dashboard. So this is the creative team member. Just refresh it for it to take effect. And there you go. There's no reports and the priority inbox is no longer here. So that means this team member is no longer able to run reports, view reports, even have an access to any reports, even if you assign a report to this team member, right? So what about deleting permissions? So you can delete permissions by simply going back to permissions. And let's say you want to delete this client, no keyword alerts, and content library permission. When you click on delete permission group, it will ask you if you're sure. Then when you click on yes, it will tell you if this permission group is in use, and that means you cannot delete it unless you remove it. So this permission profile is currently in use. So let's go back to the client. Here it is. Now let's put this back to the default one. We're not going to use that client permission group because we want to delete that. So update the user. Let's do the same thing for creative team. Let's put this back to the default as well because I want to delete that permission group. There you go. Now going back to permissions. Now I'll try to delete this client one. Yes. And it's now deleted. I'm going to do the same thing for member. With this second one, I'll just delete the permission. Okay, there you go. Now we're just left with the default permission, which gives you all access. But that's essentially how you can restrict specific features for a client or a team member not to be able to access. A great way for you to restrict some members of your team. So again, that's available on our higher plan, which is a custom, or if you're on white label, you'll definitely have access to permissions. Okay, now I think that's pretty much it. Pretty straightforward, but believe me when I say it's quite useful to upgrade to our custom plan to have that. So let me invite Sean. Let me see if there are any questions. Looks like there are no questions. So
Hello.
I'm going to invite Sean. Hi, Sean. How's your day?
Yeah, fantastic. That was really great. Thanks for showing that. It is, as you mentioned, it's a really great feature, but it's also quite in a great way, pretty straightforward in how how we use it and how you can make use of it for your team. It can be super powerful. Some really great ways that it can be used as well. As Anne also spoke about, it can be used with your team in terms of, let's say you have specific roles within your company and you're wanting team members to be able to access only specific areas that maybe they're already doing within the company as a role. But it can also be great for clients. Perhaps you don't want them to be able to see specific things like reporting, but you still want them to be able to post, or vice versa, depending on how you want to sort of customize that experience for those users while still allowing them to have access to the areas that are important. So I'll share really quick, and I'll show as well some really cool things that can happen. It's kind of important also to see what we see when we change those permissions. That can be really important as well. So let's take a quick look here. Hopefully I'm going to share the right screen. We should hopefully be able to
Please
see.
do.
Pretty simple here. Now, this is a user that's already set up with a couple of different permissions. pretty basic stuff. They can publish, they've got access to activities and reporting as well. But maybe we don't want them to be able to publish. Maybe we want them to be able to look at the systems, see what they're doing or what's going on within the account, but we don't want them to actually be able to kind of go through with some of those other actions with publishing, for example. So what we'll do is remove that. And actually, before we do that, let's just have a quick look at the actual system itself. So if we take a look here, we can see they've got everything here on the sidebar. They've got access to their schedule, to their queues, all the information they need. Publishing, again, you can see it here. They also have the ability to compose. So they have the option to choose from the pages that they have access to and just compose posts just like any other user. Now, if we go ahead and change those, I'm just going to apply them on a different screen here. And we go back and refresh. We're going to lose some of those permissions if it actually saved, which it didn't. One moment. All right, let me go ahead and just apply those and refresh that here as well. Nope. This is the trouble when I think we work in multiple tabs. We may potentially run into that as well.
I get that.
One moment. This is the fun of it. Okay, cool. So that would be because we've got to make adjustments to the right permission group. So that's an important thing to note as well. You're going to want to make changes to the right group. If you're not seeing them, double check that you're not doing what I do and that you're not also making changes to the wrong group. So let me go ahead and just apply those changes now. And fingers crossed, all things going well, we should be able to see the right stuff now.
Yeah. No, not yet.
All right. It's not going to play ball with me today. Okay, we're going to take away a few of those other permissions as well while I'm at it. Just one sec. There we go. Okay, testing that one, applying that, and one moment here. We'll refresh this page. We're using the right one now. Good. Also, another important thing, using the right naming conventions can be really important because if you're making those changes and they're not working, that could be why. So now we see I've made the right changes to the right permission group, and we're looking, and suddenly there's a lot of different sort of visible elements on the page, or no longer visible. So we don't have the compose button anymore. The restriction has been made that we're not able to publish. We can see that a lot of it still looks the same. We can still see the calendar. There's still the view there, the calendar view. That's the only option they'll get from the publish section up here. They can still look at the activity. They can still look at their reports. But again, the ability to make any kind of publishing elements within the system, composing posts, scheduling posts, access to queues, that has all gone away. So yeah, again, it's important to know that the view will change. You can even play around with this, and I recommend doing that as well with your team, just so that you can essentially get a feel for it yourself. Have your team members even test it with you if you've got team members in the system. Play around with those permissions, see how they might affect, how they may look to your clients, and test out what's best for you and the team.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, Sean. That's pretty straightforward right there.
Yeah.
And looks like we don't have any questions. Let me just double check. No questions. Well, I guess that's going to be it for today. Thank you all so much for joining us. And thank you also, Sean, for helping me on today's webinar. So for next week, we'll be talking about reconnection in Sendible. So Savannah will be facilitating that webinar. So if you're curious about, reconnection issues, how can you successfully reconnect the profiles the right way, please join Savannah and Sarah next week. Again, that's on Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you have any questions or suggestions on what topics to discuss on future webinars, you can shoot us an email at success@sendible.com. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day. Bye.
Take care.
Take care. Bye.